Welcome to the LSL Podcast. I'm Derek McKenna and I'm joined as always by Andy McNulty. Andy, how are you this evening?
Good, Derek. Just about thawed out from today's game, but yeah, good.
It was a cold one out there today. I seen a few people posting on social media about the elements. There was a lot of rain out there today as well.
Very cold. Yeah, I don't mind the rain as much, but the wind today was just cutting through me. Absolutely unbelievable.
So luckily enough, actually, we had a busy weekend of fixtures this weekend. So on episode 5 of the podcast, we're going to have a roundup of lots of big games over the past weekend. We'll also be discussing the LSL transfers. It's transfer season, so we have a full comprehensive list from the LSLs of all the transfers within the league. We'll also have the UEFA Regions Cup Draw, which was made this week, as well as the FAI Junior and Intermediate Cup draws, and we'll also be discussing the big news this week, the FAI finances debacle as well, plus much more. Before we kind of jump into all of that, and the last week's episode with Ross, the interview with Ross Carrick, got a really strong response. It was a huge response on social media, and on the back of that, Ross obviously called for teams to get involved in what he was calling a huddle hug, and there was a huge response to that.
Incredible, Derek. Yeah, I have so many people that have reached out to me and touched base through Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook. A lot of people have just said, "Listen, if you ever need anyone on, or fair play to you. I've had a bit of trouble myself, and it was really good to see such a movement in the last week on Twitter and other social media platforms. It was brilliant. It was absolutely excellent. And fair play to Ross again. I think everyone I've spoken to has really been positive about the episode. And it's a credit to Ross, such a decorated player in the amateur game, coming out and, really making a statement.
Big time. The good news as well is I was speaking to people within the league over the last week, and there are kind of things happening in the background to try to promote mental health awareness more. We'll have probably more news on that either on the next podcast or the one after Christmas or so. But the league is doing things, and they're doing things in the background to help clubs in a similar vein to what we were talking about last week. So hope to have more news on that coming soon. The Huddle Hug hashtag has been more or less trending on social media clubs or LSL social media over the last few days or so. Ones that got involved that I've seen: Airfield United, Rattled Harps, Newbridge Town, St James's Gate, FC Hibernian, Bangor GGFC, Kilbarrack United, Collinstown, St Kevin's, St Francis FC, Finglas United, even some underage kind of schoolboy teams, Cabinteely under 14s, St Kevin's boys under 14s. I think there was St Mocta's senior team plus their under 10s. Baldale United, a kids team there, got involved. Clontarf Athletic, Old Bon FC, Beach Park FC, Bluebell United, obviously, Shell's Academy under 10s, Verona FC, and Sheriff YC and Rush Athletic were the ones I seen. So fair play to all those clubs for getting involved, and we'd encourage others to keep on tagging yourselves with the Huddle Hug. And what it's designed for is to promote mental health awareness. So it's a great initiative that we have going at the moment. So please keep on doing it in your games next week going forward. Okay.
Yeah, it was brilliant, Eric. Yeah, it was great to see. I was just to jump in there. It was great to see the hashtag trending online there. It was absolutely fantastic. Every club getting involved, and it's just good that to really support everyone around the club, your own individual club, and people across the league. And as you said there was even young lads getting involved. Some of the pictures were brilliant. So fair play to everyone for getting involved.
Definitely. So we're in. I mentioned last week, Andy. We're in transfer season. Has your phone started ringing yet?
No, I don't think it will, Derek. I think I'm tied to Bluebell for life now, unfortunately.
No, I meant to say, is there people trying to join up with you guys? I'm sure there's a flood of players coming in the door now.
Yeah, there's look, we have a few targets. We've been speaking to a few people, but yeah, as I said, we're working on a few.
All right, good to hear. So you're not letting much away. So
No, not till they're on the dotted line.
Maybe we'll have a look through the list that's come in so far. I think there's been over. Let me see. I think there's 70 or so transfers completed so far. So forgive me. This is going to be a bit of an exhaustive list, but I'll let you take some of them as well, Andy, if you don't mind. I don't know if you're looking at the list there at the moment.
Yeah, I have it
So
here.
there's a couple from Inchicore Athletic gone to Ainger Celtic, Kane Lennox and Ryan Plunkett, both from Inchicore to Ainger Celtic. We have Callum Doherty gone from Liffey Wanderers to Ballyfermot United. There's a few gone to Ballyfermot United, actually. So you have Callum Doherty from Liffey's, you have Dylan Madden from Transport, Gary Shaw from Transport. You have Adelo Abbas from Portmarnock to Ballymun. You have Yaya Kamara from Huntstown to Ballymun. I've actually seen Yaya play for Hartstown. Very, very good player. He'll definitely add something to Ballymun if he's going up into their senior division side. He's a great player there. You have Gary Cleary going from Boot Road Celtic to Bangor GGFC. Gary's a goalkeeper, I believe. Do you know him, Andy?
Yeah, very good. That's a good signing. It's a big loss for Boot Road. He's probably one of the best Saturday keepers around at the moment, and has been for a number of years. So that's a big loss for Boot Road Celtic.
I see Mikey Collins has gone from Boot Road as well up to Bluebell. Is that Mikey Collins who used to play for Collinstown? Do you know anything about that one?
I'm not too sure he was with Collinstown, but he was with. He's been boomeranging back and forth between Bluebell and other clubs for years. So yeah, he tends to come back to us every couple of years. Yeah,
Good to have him back. So
exactly.
we have Jason Gaffney has gone from Greystones United to Broadford Rovers. Wayne Waldron gone from Dingle to Broombridge Athletic. There is Zach Fury gone from Ballymun out to Cherry Orchard. That's a bit of a journey. And Luke Morta from Crumlin United of Cross to Cherry Orchard as well. Do you want to pick them up there, Andy? I think we're on.
Yeah. We've got Kelvin Denon from Liffey's to Cole Park, Carl Spooner from Bluebell to Collinstown, Aidan Riley from Pegasus St James's to Coolock Village in the UCFL, Ryan Kinlan Eastwall Bessborough to Crinian Strand in the AOL, as well as Dylan O'Leary from Sheriff. Ian Coon from Wayside to Crumlin, as well as Tony Griffiths, which was one of the big ones that I hinted at last week, is a huge move across the Leinster Senior League. Tony has been a key figure in our success late, and going back to Crumlin, in fairness, where he also had a very, very successful period in was it 2010 team, I think, where they won everything in their reach that year. Reese Klusker from Portmarnock to Eastwall Bessborough, Cian Daly from Collinstown to Eden Derry, Alan Akers from St. Peter's in the Wicklow League to Enniskerry. Enniskerry signed up another Luke O'Sullivan from Pat CY. Glenville took two, Jinji Aki,
That
who
was
I
a big
believe
one,
is
actually.
actually, I believe he's a decent player. And anyone in Crumlin I've spoken to has spoken really highly of
A
him. So
Japanese lad, I
that's
believe.
probably one to watch. Yeah, that's probably one to watch. Apparently, very good keen eye for goals, so that'll obviously boost their Glenville's chances in the league. Eric O'Bowley from Wayside Celtic as well has gone to Glenville. I'll let you pick up the rest there if you want.
Yeah, so it's like commentating on a horse race here, Andy.
Yeah,
So you have Mark Perry gone from Cabinteely out to Greystones. A couple from Hardwick, from Sheriff YC over to Hardwick. You have Travis Flood Morta and you have Evan Hanney, both of them from Sheriff over to Hardwick in the AUL, and Dara Reid from MPFC over to Hardwick FC in the AUL as well. Tom McCarthy from Swords to Home Farm. Three going from Transport over to Inchicore Athletic are Danny Ledden, Philip Massey, and Patrick McGrath. All of those from Transport over to Inchicore. And then you have Keith Rowe from Oliver Bond Celtic over to Inchicore as well. Some big transfer news over in Kilbarrack. Ross Carrick, who we had on the podcast last week, and he was pimping himself out the clubs when he was saying the transfer window's open and he still hasn't hung up his boots yet. He signed with Kilbarrack from Airfield United, and he made his debut on Friday night, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the results. We also have Gavin Carroll going from Airfield United to Kilbarrack United as well. Gavin was down training with us in pre-season, signed for Airfield, but he's after kind of moving back over to Kilbarrack now. And then also going to Kilbarrack, you have Oren Martin from Baldoyle United, and also Jake McAvoy from St. Kevin's Boys of Kilbarrack United. The last two guys I mentioned there, I believe, are under 19s, so perhaps going into our under 19 side there. Do you want to pick up the final furlong here, Andy, or are we halfway through the race at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'll try and scare through as much as I can here. There's a lot. I think we might have overestimated this list. Lloyd Buckley from Callester to Kilmore, Stephen Caulfield from Ringsend Rovers to Liffey's, as well as Leroy Martin from Eastwall to Liffey's, Jack French from Drumcondra to Mid Sutton Sports Link, Aaron Clancy from Newtown to Newbridge, Martin Dillon from Transport to Newlands, Alan Curry from Newbridge to Newtown. That's him returning to Newtown. Cian Fay from Wayside to Newtown, Barry O'Keefe from Kilnamanagh to Newtown, Adam Mitchell from Inchicore to Oliver Bond, Jack Johnson from Usher to Oliver Bond, David Murray from Kilmore to Oliver Bond, Connor Sherry from Stella East Wall to Oliver Bond. So obviously they're strengthening the numbers there, Oliver Bond, for this transfer window.
Yeah,
Luke Kelly from League Slip to Pegasus, St James's, Dane Black from Oliver Bond to Sheriff, Lloyd Lawless from Kilmore to Sheriff, Billy Walsh from Eastwall Bessborough to Sheriff also, Ryan Ennis from Ballymun to Kevin's, James Hanley from Hartstown Huntstown to Moctus, Jonathan Lyons from Swords Celtic to Moctus also. I'm going to give you a go at this one if you don't mind.
Sorry, Andy. Sorry, I've seen that one coming up on the list. I can't wait till he gets to that one.
Yeah.
Ruuki Imayo, I think is how that one's pronounced. That's the best effort I'm going to make it. He's gone from Portmarnock to St. Pat's to CY, and Jake Kelly has gone from Ballybrack to St. Pat's CY.
That's a great signing. That's Jake Kelly, ex-League of Ireland. Fantastic player. Very, very good player.
Right.
That's an excellent signing from CY.
Brilliant. I look forward to hearing more about that, actually. What position does he play on, Andy?
He's left wing striker, very, very good. Keen eye for goal, unbelievable pace. He will be a very, very good signing for St. Pat's.
Interesting. I'll definitely keep an eye out for him over the coming months. Who else have we got here? I want to make sure we don't miss anybody else. Christopher Riley gone from Kilmore to St. Paul's Artane. Nicholas Bourne gone from Kingswood Castle in the AUL to St. Francis. Michael Early gone from Oliver Bond to St. James's Gate. Dean Smith gone from Kilmore to Usher. Darren O'Brien, formerly of Sheriff YC for a good number of years, has left Finglas United in the LSL and he's gone to Valley Park United in the AUL. I believe he probably played with Valley Park years ago and he's gone back there now. And then the last four on the list is Adam O'Brien Kuhn, gone from TK United to Wayside. Christopher McMahon gone from Ballymun United to Woodhazel. Gavin Doyle gone from DCU to Yellowstone, and Anthony Halpin gone from Aylesbury FC to Yellowstone Celtic. I think we bit off more than we could chew there, Andy, going through that list, but I think that's 70 completed transfers so far. Few big ones peppered in there, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more over the coming weeks. I think, remind me, Andy, is it 31st of January that the transfer window goes through? So we've plenty more weeks of this. So we'll keep on updating it every podcast that we have, adding to that list, and keep you informed with all of the comings and goings in the Leinster Senior League. Right, I'm a bit exhausted after that.
Yeah. It just goes to show you, though, Derek. I think we were mentioning it the week before. Like how important the transfer window is for teams. Like you can see there, Oliver Bond, Newtown, have all strengthened by 3 or 4 players. Now, obviously, look, you can look on the flip side of it. There's lads that, like, I think, who lost 6 or 7 lads as well there. Just bear with me 1 second. I'll just go back up the list. Transport, they've lost a lot of bodies. So you can see how it's going to benefit and obviously hamper teams as well. So it's really what end of the stick you're on during this period. It's very important for managers. You've got lads, Darren Kelly, that's obviously in Ballyfermot. He's gone and signed 3 or 4 lads straight away in the first week of the window. Yeah. He's obviously identified areas that he needs to strengthen in, and it's just inevitable that players are going to move. But it's going to be the impact on the teams that they have positively and negatively that would be interesting to see over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, it can be make or break for some clubs as well. I think what you tend to see happening is clubs that are doing well. Obviously, players want to move to those clubs, and players and teams that are not doing so well. If you're kind of floating around the relegation zone and players don't fancy that, you can see them moving on as well. So the clubs that are doing well can continue to do well by bringing in extra talent, but those that are perhaps struggling a little bit may lose some of their better players as well. So. Which is a shame to see, obviously, but that's the nature of football nowadays.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, so we have had a big weekend of games across the FAI Intermediate Cup, the Charlie Cattle, the intermediate divisions. There's been a load of football on, which is good to see. We obviously had a lot of games called off over the last number of weeks. So I wouldn't say we had a full fixture schedule, but we had a good few more games on than off. Let's put it that way. This past weekend. So we'll kick off by looking at the Intermediate Cup. Bangor Celtic had a big win over Castleknock Celtic on Friday night, I think that was, or Thursday night. Goals from Darren Good, Oisin McMenamin, Andy Dunn and Jordan Andre. Bangor are away to Ringmat and Rangers in the next round. I think that was a bit of a revenge mission for Bangor GG. I called them Bangor Celtic there. Bangor GG FC. Didn't Castleknock beat them in one of the competitions earlier this season, or was the
it was the Charlie, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it might have been last season or this season. I can't remember, but there was definitely Castleknock had a big win over Bangor GG. So a bit of a revenge mission there. So good 4-0 win. That was the game, actually, I think that was rearranged last week because when they showed up, there was a kids game booked onto the pitch. And they couldn't fulfill that picture. Yeah. Today, St. Moctus had a good 3-1 away win against Ballymun United. Goals from Cathal O'Connor, Kenny Carr, and an OG. And I think George Mutak, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, got a consolation goal for Ballymun there. So next up for St. Moctus is an away trip to Collinstown, who obviously beat them in the FAI Senior Cup last season or earlier this year. So that'll be a tough game for St. Moctus. I know Moctus obviously are 2 divisions above Collinstown, but Collinstown are flying at the moment. So a good, tough game for them there. And if anybody wants to watch the highlights of today's game, they're available on the Striker Facebook page, I think. So pop over there and you can have a look at the goals as they went in. A huge game today as well for LSL Senior 1B side Verona, who drew away to Leeds from Cork last week. They hosted them over in Blanchardstown today, and that game finished 3-3 after extra time. Goals for Verona were from Adrian Michescu and Adis Village. So that's all the game level after extra time, but Verona won 4-2 on pens after the extra time, and now they are home to fellow Leinster Senior 1B side St. Kevin's in the next round. That's the last 16. So one of those. So I think actually getting into the last 16, Andy, doesn't that guarantee a place in the FAI Senior Cup?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah,
it does, so and that's a massive pull for any of the clubs, especially the down the divisions, the clubs down the division. It's a great. I remember sitting waiting for that draw. I'm sick every single year. We've been poor in that competition the last few years, and the first thing I think of is obviously getting knocked out of that competition. But when that sort of when that sinks in, I'd be sick that we're out of that FAI senior. Sick.
Yeah, I can imagine. We're out of it as well. Obviously, we went out early doors to Colester, Johnny Carney. So, but it's great to see Verona and St. Kevin's, obviously from the Senior 1B in there, and one of those sides are going to progress into the last 8 as well, which is going to be great to see. So, congratulations to Verona today. It was a hard fought win. I think they actually went down to 10 men early in that game. So to secure the 3-3 draw and then win it on penalties was a great win there. Do you want to take the next one, Andy?
Yeah, Sacred Hearts, Fairhouse Clover. I think that was that a 1-1 draw last week with Liffey's?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, 1-1. So they went up to Killinarden Hill, and it was actually Liffey's that progressed after extra time 3-1. So Hearts Clover took the lead. But Liffey's hit back with a Sam Simpson goal, who's in a very, very rich vein of goal scoring form at the moment.
Andy,
One
just a
all
quick
into
question
extra.
on that. Do you know,
Yeah,
did Sam Simpson used to play for Crumlin, or am I totally wide of the mark there?
he did, and
Yeah.
Bluebell actually both.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He's a tricky winger, speedy, and obviously a good eye for goal this year as well. In fairness to him, he scored I think 2 against me there a couple of weeks ago. Very good finisher.
Is this his first season over at Liffey's?
I think he might have gone mid-season the year before, and
Right.
possibly his first full season with them.
Ah, right. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting there. Continue on.
No problem at all. Yeah, so 1 all into extra time, where Rowie Lassoud scored twice to seal the win. So obviously a very, very good win there for Liffey's up in Killinarden today. And the next round they're going to face Callester Donnycarney. So another tough draw for Liffey's there, but I'm sure they'd be delighted to be in the draw.
Actually, just touching on the draw, it was done earlier this week, I believe, and well done to the FAI on this. I want to the FAI advertised the draw in advance, and did it live on Facebook live stream, which everybody appreciates. So it was great to see it publicised in advance, and then everybody could tune in and watch the draw as it was being done. I'll call out the draw now for the last 16. Home Farm against Malahide United. You have Collinstown, obviously against St. Moctas now after their win against Ballymun today. You have Cockhill Celtic, who beat Middleton down in Cork today against Kilnamanagh. You have Crumlin United against Maynooth University Town, which is a repeat of, was it the semi-final last year or the year before the
Last year's
final?
semi-final, yeah.
Last year's
Last
semi-final.
year's semi-final, yeah.
So Crumlin against Maynooth. You have Verona, obviously, who beat Leeds today against St. Kevin's Boys. You've Callester Donnycarney against Liffey Wanderers. You've Bonaghy United against College Corinthians. And you have Ringmatton Rangers against Bangor GGFC. When you look at that draw, actually, Andy, it's largely populated with LSL sides, which is obviously good to see. There's only, how many Cork teams have we got left in there? You've College Corinthians and Ringmatton. Are the only 2 Cork sides left in it, which is unusual. You've Bonaghy United and Cockhill Celtic are both from up towards Donegal direction, I think, from the Ulster Senior League, and that's it, isn't it? That's everybody else is LSL.
Yeah, I think it's still a long way to the final, Derek, as you know. But I think anyone that progresses through the round of 16 and into the quarters will be quietly confident if they are in the top divisions of the Leinster Senior League and are in good form. So they'll be look, anything can happen in this competition. But it's a very, very good opportunity for the LSL teams to progress right through to the final.
Definitely. So as well as that, we also had the FAI Junior Cup Draw done this week. Before I jump into that, today Oliver Bond Celtic were playing Castlereagh. They were at home to Castlereagh, and they did a really good 5-1 win there. Goal scorers for Oliver Bond were one Marco Cannizaro. He sounds like he should be playing in Serie A. He got 2, and then you had Jimmy McHugh, Pat O'Cannon, and Troy Carey with the others. They were 3-0 up inside 15 minutes, so the game was more or less over as a tie at that stage. And they have a home tie in the next round against Kildrum Tigers. That's an interesting name. Kildrum Tigers. I've not heard of them before.
You don't normally hear something like that in Ireland, anyway.
No, it's
More
an
than an
interesting.
American term or Australian or something, isn't it? With the
Yeah,
Tigers at the end.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not actually sure where they're from, but to read out the full draw that was done this week, and look, I'm always critical of this. The FAI Junior Cup Draw, the draw gets held in secret all the time. Nobody knows when it's going to be done, and then at the last minute it appears somewhere, and there's no openness and transparency on the FAI Junior Cup Draw. And I would love if they could do what they do with the intermediate draw and just publicise it live. Let people know, look, it's going to be done Thursday evening, 6:00, and it'll be live on the FAI Facebook page, and then everybody can tune in. I'm sure you've probably seen it yourself, and the amount of people online
Yeah.
looking for the draw is just farcical.
It seems to pick up a lot of interest every year. Obviously, we don't enter it as a club now. Our Saturday team historically are not ever in it. I believe I can't remember them ever being in it.
Yeah. Why is that actually, Andy? Just out of curiosity, because obviously with such a strong Saturday side, you would have expected that you guys would have.
Look, to be honest with you, we haven't really had strong enough sides over the last few years. Like last year, with with probably the exception, you could probably say we should have, but we didn't realise how well we were going to go at the stage.
Mm.
A lot of the time we find it's a bit of a headache, and I know it's an unusual thing probably for a club to admit to, but when you look at it, you have to travel all over the country. It's a big expense to the club. It's a bit of a headache to the league campaign as well. So I don't know how people might be critical of that, but it's really been a decision that we've made over the last probably, as I said, probably 10 years, that just not to enter the competition. I think we've been in it maybe twice in the last 10 years, but that's just it's just a decision made by the club, you know.
Yeah, no, just curiosity was why, because obviously there are other clubs who don't enter into it as well, so I just wanted to understand that a little bit better. But yeah, look, the draw was done. And what we have is Fairview Rangers from former multiple winners from Limerick against either St. John Bosco from the LSL or Fermoy FC from Cork. There's a lot of actually or games in here, so because there seems to be a lot of delayed games that haven't been played yet, so just bear with me as I'm calling these out. You have Mullingar Town or Cretty United against Glentoran Celtic. You've Usher Celtic from the LSL against Regional United from Limerick. You have Ballinasloe Town or Villa FC versus Rush Athletic from the LSL or Rathkeil FC. You have Dolan's Cow from the Cork Business League or Valeview Shankill from the LSL versus Westport United or Balscadden FC. And then you have Oliver Bond, who obviously won today against Castle Ray against Kildrum Tigers. You've Crumlin United, that's their Saturday team, against Cuna United. I think Cuna United are from Limerick, but I'm not 100% sure there. You've Sheriff YC against Salt Hill Devon or Skerries Town. So Sheriff obviously LSL and Skerries Town LSL there. You have, let me see, you've Trim Celtic or Avenue United versus Drumcondra AFC from the LSL or Ferrybank FC. You've Gorey Rangers versus Cashel Town or Rosslare Rangers. You've Greencastle FC versus Bear Town or St. Michael's AFC, who are the holders. You've Shannon Hibs or Beach Park FC from the LSL or Tulka Rovers from the LSL versus Castlebar Celtic. So there's kind of a few games to be played there before that fixture against Castlebar Celtic. And then the last few are Manula FC against Attenroy FC. You have Suncroft FC versus Pike Rovers or Newcastle West FC. You have New Park FC versus Carrick Celtic. And then the final one on there, which we spoke about last week, I don't think it's been resolved yet, and Andy, but you might be able to fill me in this. It's VEC or Rosemount Mulvey versus Bruncana Harps actually against Killarney Celtic. Any news on what's happening with Rosemount Mulvey and VEC?
I haven't heard a tap, Derek, which is unusual. Yeah, I haven't heard it, so I don't know whether it's still sort of pending, but that could be an or for another number of weeks until after Christmas, maybe.
Actually, if you bear with me 1 second, I think somebody sent me some fixtures through from, let me see. Someone sent me some fixtures, but oh yeah, it just says it's from the FAI Junior Council, and it says Rosemount Mulvey versus VCFC. This has to be confirmed. So there's still no date set on that, and that was kind of an official correspondence from the FAI Junior Council that came through. So it looks like that hasn't been sorted yet. I'm not sure if there's a protest gone in there or
Can
what's.
I ask you, Derek, just on it, and this isn't a loaded question, and I apology if I send you down a bit of a trap here, but
Thanks.
on just note, you mentioned there the draw around the Junior Cup. Um, is it the same? Like, do the same people, the same coordinators within the FAI? I'm not looking for any names or anything, but is it the same coordinators that look after the competitions, or is it someone else's responsibility? Why is it that the junior is held in differently to the intermediate? I suppose is my question. Apologies if it's a bit of a loaded question for you,
Yeah,
but
no,
um,
it's a good question, and the simple answer is it seems to be done by different sections. So the FEI Junior
okay.
Council are the ones that do the FEI Junior Draw, and as I said, there seems to be every single year there seems to be a lot of kind of disputes about how the draw is done and where it's done and how it's released, and it just seems to be a huge amount of secrecy behind the draw, and it always kind of lends to people giving out and saying, oh, it was fixed, the draw was fixed, and so on. Now, there's no way I'd imply that the draw is fixed. I wouldn't never go down that route, and it's not fixed. There's no way that would happen. But when you do things in secrecy, and don't publicize it live. Now, I will admit the last draw was videoed. It was published on the Striker Online Facebook page, so it was done. It was videoed, but I just can't understand why they can't do that all the time. They only do it for the odd round here and there, and then
Yeah, I just think nowadays, Derek, like everyone has a smartphone. At least one person in the room has a smartphone. You go Facebook Live, it just
exactly.
takes away any of the criticism. It's just, it casts a shadow over the competition. Like, I have very little interest in the competition other than when I go nosing about the controversies every single year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, look, maybe someone from the FAI Junior Council will listen to this podcast, and look, all they have to do is go online and see the amount of people complaining that it's not done live. It's a very simple thing, as you said. The FAI Intermediate draw was done live, and it was done brilliantly, and it's very professional. It lends to the professionalness of the competition. I just can't see why they can't do it for the junior one. So, hopefully, going forward, they will start to do all of those draws live, and everybody gets them at the same time, and there's no confusion around those draws. But we can only hope. Yeah, as I said, I think to answer your question, I don't know who does the intermediate one, but definitely with the junior one, it's the junior council.
Yeah, it's interesting enough, as I say. Hopefully, look, they'll take the feedback on board. It's been a few years under the shadow, as I said earlier, but hopefully they take a bit of feedback on board and look to improve the competition all around.
Definitely. Just while I'm on that topic, actually, if anybody out there knows this year, is the FAI Junior and Intermediate Cup going to be held in the Aviva Stadium? Because I think, did we touch on this a few weeks ago, Andy, or were we talking about this offline?
Yeah, I
But
think we were very presumptuous that it was going to be again, but a few people reached out to us, I know, and kind of said, listen, the Euros are on, and there was a couple of different reasons with Delaney that he was a big advocate for it. So look, we don't really know. Again, it doesn't really be advertised that it's in the final as such.
yeah,
Normally, the old hashtag Road to Aviva goes when you're in the last 16 or the quarters, maybe. But I
yeah,
haven't really seen that, and nobody has really definitively said yes or no yet. So, look, I suppose it's probably something that we might be able to throw it out to someone that might know. Hopefully,
yeah.
if they can let us know.
Yeah, as I said, I've heard myself that potentially it's not on there, because the Euros are on at the same time. But look, it'd be good for someone to come out and confirm that, because I think everybody assumes that it is on there because it's been on for the last few years. So, it'd be good to get some clarification on that. Right,
We might
moving.
have
Sorry, go on.
even touch base with our special guest Noel Mooney on the case. We might throw a direct message out to him and see if he answers.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's gone from the FAI now, Andy. So, I don't know
Oh,
what you can offer us there. He's
yeah, well,
back.
that's true. Actually,
He's back with UEFA now, so look, we'll hopefully somebody will know, and they can fill us in on that one. But moving off the FAI draw and the intermediate and the junior draw, with some huge games in the Charlie Cattle Cup this past weekend. Who are the current champions of the Cattle Cup? Do you know, Andy? I should know this.
are you doing this deliberately for me?
Yeah, am I putting you on the spot? Am I? Sorry, look, I'll move on. We've been.
Crumlin are the holders.
Oh, are they? Sorry.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, right. So I suspected that, and that's why I asked. Holders Crumlin had a good 2-1 win against Home Farm over in Whitehall at the weekend. Prizeman with the goal for Home Farm before Jake Donnelly and James Lee got the goals for Crumlin to seal the win there. The other result, I think, was on Friday. You had Edenderry Town 3 against Tullamore Town. Shane Stritch with a hat-trick there. Shane is obviously an ex-colleague of yourself, Andy.
Yeah, look, Shane's a class player. In fairness, he'll get 20 goals for them easily. And just while we're on the topic, Derek, I know I just wanted to clarify something. I made a couple of comments about Eden Derry in a previous episode. I just want to clarify, I have nothing against the club itself. It was just a few disappointing comments from the sideline, and I just wanted to clarify that. That's just from my own, because a few people have reached out to me on it, and that's just I just wanted to clarify that against the one of the previous episodes. That's all.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. There was another game on. I think it was supposed to be on Friday night. Glenville against Greystones was off, I think. And then who else did we got there? Um,
Yeah, Leicester, Donna Carney, that went to extra time again, and that was Kilnamanagh that travelled out to Leicester and 4-3 after extra time. Um, Obviously a cracking game, but the sounds of it. Keane McMullen with the first before Sean Rogers doubled the lead on 45 minutes. Kilnamanagh got 2 quick goals on the break, but Leicester hit again with 15 to go through Mark Ryan before Kilnamanagh hit back in the 93rd minute to take the extra time. And with a few minutes to go, Keane McMullen scored a second of the game to send them through to the next round. So obviously a cracking game there for Leicester. Good for the paying punters that got in there this morning.
yeah, I was keeping an eye on that on Twitter actually, and seeing the goal. Well, I didn't see the goals going in, but keeping an eye on it on Twitter, and obviously 7 goals going in. It seemed like an exciting game. So definitely the punters got their money's worth there today.
Yeah, they're brilliant for their updates as well. In fairness, the Leicester lads. So yeah, good to have an eye on that.
You also had, obviously, you had a game this morning, Andy. So I'll let you talk about that one.
Yeah, well, beaten finalists, might I say, last year, Derek. So thanks for rubbing that in.
Sorry, man. I forgot they beat you in the final.
Yeah. Thanks for that. But yeah, no, we travelled to Lucan this morning. A very, very wet Selbridge pitch. I would be very surprised if that pitch is played on any time before the middle of January after today's conditions. It
Did
was
it cut up badly?
horrendous. Yeah, it did. It was. See, the problem was it was probably playable at the start of the game, but then there was an onslaught of rain maybe 10 minutes in, and my God, we just got washed out of it. And very, very soft underfoot, and yeah, it was in a bad condition near the end. But we were comfortable enough now, to be perfectly honest with you. It was 4-0 in the end, but they had a man sent off just at the half-time mark, and yeah, it was comfortable enough result for us in the end, thank God.
When did the goals go in, and who got them?
2 Jordan Payne goals in the first half. He sealed his hat-trick in the second half, as well as Gary Searley, probably one of the goals of the seasons if you got to see it live. He's cut in from the right, and he's not really renowned for his left foot, but he's pinged it right into the far top corner. Some strike, in fairness to him. He's been short on a few goals this year, so I was delighted for him. Brilliant player, and hopefully that can really kickstart his season.
Did anybody catch that on video? Did Lucan video their game sometimes? I'm not too sure.
Nobody was mad enough to be out in that weather with a camera, Derek, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't blame them. I was tucked up nice and warm this morning myself, so definitely wasn't going out in those elements. We other games we had UCD against Maynooth University Town, so clash of the colleges there. Maynooth with a 2-goal win, Dara Deegan with both goals. In UCD went down to 9 men in that game, so that probably contributed to the score there. And then the final one scheduled for the Charlie Cattle one today, which I found quite amusing, was Wayside against Glebe North, and that was called off because it was too windy over in Jackson Park.
Well, look, I know it's probably a controversial topic, but I've played up in Jackson Park quite a few times, and it can get extremely windy, but it would want to be significantly dangerous, I suppose, for the referee to have called that off. So, look, I'm not making any light of the decision being made by the referee or anything, but it was obviously seriously windy up there on the day, because my God, it can get bad up off the side of that mountain.
Yeah, and look, the only reason the referee is going to call that off is if he fears for the safety of the players. So, look, that has to be the utmost importance when you're making that decision. So, obviously, the right decision there. What other big games we had? We had one in the Senior Sunday this weekend, didn't we?
Yeah. Portmarnock travelled to Cherry Orchard, and they were beaten 2-1 by the Orchard, Jack O'Connor and Aaron McGurk for the goals for the Orchard. So again, that's another big win for the Orchard. Portmarnock are really struggling again this year, and it's a bit of a dogfight down the bottom there, but a big 3 points for the Orchard.
Yeah, I'm just actually looking at the table as we speak. I think I said a couple of weeks ago it's way too early to be talking about relegation battles, but that moves Orchard up to 11th place, so they are out of the relegation places. But and I think, like, obviously they want to keep on putting some wins together. The sides below them are Wayside, Ballymun, and Portmarnock, and all of those sides are struggling. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on those as the season progresses on. But I think did Orchard win last week as well? I could be, or they drew against Maynooth last week. That's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. Yeah, they're
so
starting to pick up a couple of points. That'll be confidence going in, and hopefully they'll strengthen in the window as well. And but again, as you mentioned there, like look, nobody's really over there. It's still a long way to go. Portmarnock are at the foot of the table, but they've still 20, what is it, 12, 13 games to go. So you know they'll be more than happy to give it another crack. You know.
a long, hard second half of the season ahead, and obviously they'll be looking to strengthen over the transfer window as well.
Yeah. As we mentioned, yeah, there's going to be teams at the bottom are going to be scampering for players, you know, and it's going to be difficult for the manager if you're at the foot of the table, but you're just hoping you can pick up a few players along the way.
Definitely. In the senior 1A, few big games over the course of the weekend. Arklow Town beat Inchicore 2-1. I didn't get any goal scorers for that. It's very difficult to find out on Arklow's Twitter. I think they disappeared off the face of the earth, whoever runs their Twitter page, about 2 months ago and hasn't posted since. Tulka Rovers had a good 3-2 win against Portlaoise. Dean George, Jamie Gray and Paddy Collins with the goals for Tulka. Dublin Bus had a good 1-0 win against Dublin University today. Screamer of a strike from Gary Sullivan, 40 yards out, caught the keeper off his line, and that won it around the 60-minute mark. So, yeah, a very tight game. Apparently, I was talking to a guy who was playing in that game. Horrendous conditions, I was told. So, a good win for Dublin Bus there. And then couple of other results. Drumcondra had a good 3-1 win away to TK United. Martin Casson got 2 and Dean Gannon got 1. And then Willow Park had a good 5-1 win away to Dunboyne. Kevin Murray with a hat-trick there, and Etanda Nko, I think is how you pronounce his surname, got 2 as well. And there was one more game there, Andy. Was there in the senior 1A?
Yeah, Collinstown, back top of the table for Collinstown. They had a good 3-1 win over Bosco, St. John Bosco. Jamie Ahern, Paulie McMahon and Luke Kelly with the Collinstown goals. So, yeah, they're happy to be back top of the table, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'd be obviously familiar with both sides. They were both in the senior 1B last season. Bosco went up as champions and Collinstown went up in third place. But Collinstown are on fire at the moment. I can't speak highly enough of them. They're obviously flying in the league and flying in a lot of cups as well, having dumped us out of the Metro a couple of weeks ago. If we look at, it was a big weekend as well in the senior 1B. Airfield United had a 4-0 win against Ratho Harps. On Thursday night, Kev Dunn with all 4 of the goals, and that moved Airfield up to 5th in the table. So starting to kind of put some results together there at Airfield and kind of slowly move up the table. A huge game between second placed St. Kevin's and I think 4th place St. Francis over in Whitehall. That game finished 2-2. Eden Burke opened the scoring for St. Kevin's before Paul Caffrey scored with his second penalty of the night. He missed his first one, scored with the second, and then St. Francis took the lead through Lucas Marr before Stephen Campwell scored late on to secure the draw. The video highlights of that game are over on St. Kevin's social media, so if you want to have a look at the goals, they're available over there. That result was a huge result, considering the other game that was going on between Mid Sutton Sportslink, who were in third, against Kilbarrack United, who were top. Obviously, I was at that game. Kilbarrack took the lead on 25 minutes through a great little lob from Sean Doyle. Played a ball. There was a ball played over the top. He ran in from the right wing and lobbed the keeper. But then about 7 minutes later, Mid Sutton Sportslink's captain Luke Morrissey hit an absolute thunder bastard of a drive into the top corner. There was nothing that was stopping it. Cracking goal, and that put the sides level at the break. But Kilbarrack took the lead again 5 minutes into the second half through young lad Jason Beasley. He's only 17, scored a few goals already this season. And then after that, Mid Sutton absolutely battered Kilbarrack. Essentially, they were piling on the pressure. Great Conor Ennis save to keep Kilbarrack in it. And then with the last kick of the game, Mid Sutton Sportslink hit the crossbar. So they'll feel unlucky not to have got something from the game. The win for Kilbarrack puts Kilbarrack 10 points clear at the top. Teams below them have games in hand, But that was from a Kilbarrack perspective, St. Kevin's and St. Francis drawn was a huge result. So kind of a good night for Kilbarrack there. And then the other result in the Senior 1B, which I was delighted to see after I'd been kind of waxing lyrical about them for the last few weeks. Cardiff had only their second win of the season. Jake Thompson with a hat-trick there. They've been due a win. They've been playing great lately. They obviously, Kilbarrack beat them, but they put up a great performance, and then they drew last week, and now they got a win this week. So they've been putting some good results together. So I was delighted to see that that they got a good result on the board there. Any other big ones over the weekend that stood out for you, Andy?
Yeah, just a couple there. I'll go through a couple that stood out and a couple that I picked up on the hashtag on Twitter. Major Sunday, Rush Athletic beat Sheriff YC, a big win for the league leaders. Rush against Sheriff there. Major Saturday, Crumlin go top with Bluebell obviously been in action in the Lanigan against Home Farm. Maynooth into third as well with another win. Believe it or not, on this one, Derek, in the Major Saturday, the top three teams are still unbeaten, which I found astounding when I actually looked at the league earlier today. So that was just something that I wanted to call out now, as a couple of managers have already pointed out that I'm putting the mockers on them. So I probably will stop mentioning unbeaten runs after next week, maybe. But yeah, we'll see. From a Major 1 Saturday point of view, Malahide top the division. Another comfortable win. I think there's 3, well, maybe 5 on the bounce now, something like that. See a green on the website there for their results. Just a special mention, Temple Oak beat Dublin Bus 5-4. The reason I'm mentioning this one is actually Temple Oak are on the back of 7 defeats in a row in Major 1, and that's a big 3 points for them. And believe it or not, after 3 points today, they're only 5 points off 5th place. That's how crazy that Major 1 Saturday division is. So, after 7 defeats, you're thinking to yourself, you're dead and buried coming up to Christmas, but you're still only 5 points off 5th place, which is absolutely astounding. Major 1C Saturday, Usher top of the league against Lucan. Garrett Kilkenny with all 3 goals there, 3-1 to Usher. CYM Beechwood were beaten by St James's Gate, who are actually bottom of the table in that division. Our Major 1D Saturday, Airfield top of the division, 3-2 against Huntstown, apologies. So they were some of the fixtures that jumped out on Twitter and on the LSL site over the weekend, Derek.
Brilliant. Yeah, so it was a fairly full weekend of action. Obviously, next week is the final week of football before we head into the Christmas break. I know a lot of clubs will obviously be organising friendlies over the Christmas period, but the last official week of fixtures is next weekend. And probably be also our kind of potentially our last podcast before the Christmas break as well, Andy, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think we'll give the missus a bit of peace and quiet over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So obviously we've covered all the big fixtures from the weekend. The other kind of big news during the weekend, and you couldn't kind of get away from this, was the absolute car crash of the FAI finances, which were announced during the week. It was pretty shocking.
It was, Derek. It's disappointing from everyone's point of view, to be honest with you. Anyone that's involved in football in any way across the country, and not just football, it kind of sends shockwaves across all organisations to really make sure that your governance is in place, and people at the top can't be really taken for their word all the time. I'm not saying questioning anyone in a position of power, but sometimes it's not bad to ask the hard questions, at AGMs and stuff like that. I know there was a block on questions on AGM that probably should have been an alarm bell first and foremost.
Definitely.
But it's easy to say in hindsight, like a lot of leagues, a lot of clubs are getting a lot of criticism for, and individuals for not calling this out earlier. It's I wouldn't like to be in that position, Derek, myself. Like you're basically putting your career on the line. A lot of these professionals within the FAI, they might have had a sense that something was going on, but it just takes one very, very brave whistleblower to do it. It's very, very hard to do that. Like, and fair play to anyone that has come up and brought any evidence forward. But I wouldn't like to be in that position. It's very, very difficult, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. There was no, like, I've seen people say, "Oh, well, people should have questioned this while it was happening." The problem with the Delaney era at the FAI is people weren't allowed to question. Like you said, questions weren't allowed at AGMs, and if reporters tried to be critical of him, they were threatened with legal action. Obviously, I was on the receiving end of that myself, receiving a solicitor's letter from Mr. Delaney and his solicitors many years ago, for daring to criticise. And there was many others. I seen some articles today, I think, in the Independent, talking about the number of journalists who had been threatened with legal action for daring to criticise. So when you create that culture of fear that people can't question you, like you say, it does lead to people kind of who are afraid to come forward, and that seems to be what happened there. That there was a free reign for people to not question what was going on, and people were essentially
Look, you've seen it.
cooking the books.
Yeah, and look, you've seen the FIFA scandal as well, and it goes right to the top. And what do I seen a very, very good statement or a comment online there, and someone came out and went, "Yeah, look, who's auditing the auditors?"
Yeah.
And like, when you think about it, it's sort of an obvious thing to say. I know, Deloitte, I think, who are the auditors in question, had been doing the books for God knows how many years and signing off on everything, and everything's rosy, and now all of a sudden, they're taking a hefty invoice with them,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden they're washing their hands of it and saying, well, we couldn't really find that, or it's not in our interest to disclose. Like, some of this stuff you're saying, really, like, I'm not making any allegations or anything, but you're saying, look, it goes back to the point of, it's very, the whole organization, the whole structure that it was seemed to be around Delaney, and he obviously was a very powerful man within the organization.
Definitely. And obviously, it's quite sickening to see when you see the financial situation of the FAI as it stands today, and then you realise that Mr. Delaney has walked off with a nice 460,000 payoff.
That's the sickening thing, Derek. Like, you see, anyone that does a job badly, are they rewarded for it?
it
Do you
seems,
know what I mean?
yeah, I said this I was talking about this on Twitter during the week, that it seems to be a thing of Irish culture that politicians, and Delaney was a consummate politician in his role. Him and politicians in Ireland, they tend to come in, wreck things, and then walk off with a nice hefty payment plan, a pension payment plan, should I say, and waltz off into the sunset. And there's never seems to be any accountability for what they've messed up. Now, I can only hope and pray that because of what's happening in the FAI now, and it's going to be referred to, obviously, is it the corporate enforcement director of corporate enforcement, or whatever it is, that,
Yeah,
and it's been referred to the Garda as well. And I hope charges flow from that, because people shouldn't be allowed to commit these financial crimes and then just waltz off into the sunset with a nice hefty pay packet. And it's the ordinary workers within the FAI, and that's what people tend to tarnish. Oh, well, everybody in the FAI needs to go, but there's tons and tons of good people, who work day in, day out in the FAI, they're going to be the ones who suffer because of this. There's going to be people losing their
100%.
jobs, people having to take pay cuts, and then you have people like, as I said, Delaney waltzing off with that 460 grand, and you have League of Ireland clubs suffering, and getting a payout of 100 grand for winning the Premier Division, when he's walking away with a payout of 460. It's obscene, and it's wrong, and something has to change. And I hope the new board that comes in, whatever CEO comes on board, or etc., I hope we don't see a continuation of those obscene type of salaries that they're getting paid, and that culture of rewarding people, whilst the rest of the football community suffer.
I like to think I'm ever the optimist, Derek, as well as being a realist. But I I genuinely hope that this is an opportunity for a blank canvas, a new beginning as such. I think, again, like, someone sent out a tweet the day after they were at their young fellas match, and it was like the first day of a new footballing era or something along those lines. And I said to myself, do you know what? That is actually a really, really good point. I hope that this is used as a, a springboard for the new FAI, for the new organization, for the new association and those people, because like you can be damn sure that the next person that's in charge of the FAI is not going to make them same mistakes. He's not going to be in the, because he's going to be under so much scrutiny and under the microscope of everything he does. So he has to do it right, or you'd like to think he's going to do it right.
You would hope,
So
yeah.
so if anything that comes from all of this disaster, like it is a disaster, Derek. We're not gonna kind of shy away from that. It is an absolute footballing disaster across the country, and I'd say the waves have been felt right through the grassroots level, from amateur, professional, right down to the kids on the ground. It's going to be felt around the country, and it's going to be a period of time where we're going to have to reform. We're going to have to get new people willing and able to do the right thing. They're going to have really, really tough jobs, because no matter what, there's going to be a shadow over them for the first time. And it's going to be whether you get the right people in, and who's really going to want that job. I don't know whether I'd want it for all the money in the world now, I'm being honest with you. But
Yeah.
it's going to be a really, really tough job. And I think it's going to take a set of balls for whoever takes the job. And for that new committee, whoever's in there, are going to really, really going to earn their money, whatever it may be. They're going to earn their money for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think obviously preceding the kind of the finances being announced, you obviously had who was the guy who was supposed to step in as a CEO turning down the role, and then Paul Cook having to step in to take it on.
Yeah. That's it. Like, and I think that probably shows the extent of the issue, Derek. That they've had maybe one foot in the door, maybe you could say, and they've said, Jesus, this is, I'm not taking this over. This is an absolute
Shit show.
mess. Yeah,
An
this is
absolute
an
shit show.
absolute mess. And like in many ways, you can kind of say, well, fair play to him for kind of not taking the job through pressure or whatever. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be that man. I would not want to be that man.
The one kind of thing I see as a positive, obviously on top of Donald Conway stepping down, because largely involved with the previous regime, Paul Cook was one of the people in the past who did question Delaney on the finances, and largely got shot down for doing it. But he was one of those people who had a voice and did try to stand up and question this in the
Yeah,
past. So
I think
that
he was
kind of,
frozen out for the guts of a decade, and
exactly.
look at, as you can say, look at hindsight is brilliant when these sort of travesties come out. You're saying, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Look, it's happened now. I'm not in any way belittling the situation. I'm saying it is a travesty. It's an absolute nightmare for Irish football. But what we need to do now is we need to really, really use it as a springboard to move forward. And we need to say we need to get the right people in the right positions to do the right thing for Irish football going forward. And whatever that may be, I think the good thing was Dave mentioned it on his podcast, on the interview with yourself, Derek, was that they're getting people from different branches of the footballing community, if you want to use that term, around the country. So you've a schoolboy representative, you've got a PFAI representative. All this sort of stuff will help the new positions, I suppose, the new people in those positions. More opinions, more input, I think will be better for Irish football.
Yeah, big time. Look, I know the LSL had put out a statement as well. And have you got that to hand? Do you want to read that out?
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds there, sorry. Um, Okay, so this is an official statement from the LSL. The Leinster Senior League officers and committee feel the pain of the FAI staff and their fight to ensure that there are no job losses. We as a league are totally disgusted by recent events and hopeful our government will step in and assist the ongoing development of our up-and-coming talent, both boys and girls. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see the football family all over the country lobby their local politicians to support the FAI staff in all the brilliant work they do? Now, I did see some negative comments over this. Now, I'm taking from this that it's, as you mentioned already, it's the good people, the people that are 10 levels below, the administrators, the receptionists,
Definitely.
the guys that are on the ground, if you want to call it, in the FAI, that are all doing great works. There's community development officers around the country that are teaching these kids, up and coming, hopefully the future of Irish football. These people may or may not be impacted. We don't know. It's still very early. But what I gather from that statement from the league is that that's where they're pointing it. They're not saying, let's back the FAI in its current, in its previous form. I think it's make sure we protect the right people that were on the ground.
Yeah, I think the LSL were obviously one of the few leagues who spoke out against the previous regime, and which made me proud to be part of the LSL on that, because you have to have certain leagues have to be able to speak out. You had plenty of leagues who come out in support of the previous regime, but you also had the LSL coming out and being critical of that, and I think that was
But
an important
exactly.
point. An important point
And just 100%, Eric. And just lastly on this, and we move on. I think the most important thing from that you've just made there, that point, is that the chairman himself reached out, or the secretary, whoever it may be. I remember an email, reached out to the members of the league to seek their opinion on it, and it was an overwhelming reaction. So the league acts. I said this on a number of podcasts previously. The league acts on our behalf. We're the members of the league, so they act on our behalf and in our best interest. So when the league spoke, they had to listen. Do you know what I mean? So it was very, very encouraging that they listened to the teams, and that they actually released the statement when they did back in April or whenever it was, to really make a statement, because other leagues around the country have egg on their face now because they didn't, and some actually backed Delaney. So I would imagine how those conversations are going.
Yeah, and look, we could talk about that all day, because there's been a few interesting cases where players have, particularly down in Clare, where one player was banned for voicing his criticism of the league for backing Delaney. But look, we'll move on. The last thing I wanted to touch on, Andy, actually, I skipped across it. There was also the big news of the UEFA Regions Cup Draw was done this week, which was kind of went under the radar, and obviously we still have a bit of a kind of an issue with which region is going to represent Ireland there. Some listeners may recall we spoke about this in a previous episode, where the Connacht Ulster selection beat the Leinster Munster selection, but it came to light soon after that a player had played for Connacht Ulster who had previously played professional football, and that's supposed to rule you out of representing the region there. So that still hasn't been sorted yet. However, the draw was done for the intermediate round, which means it's essentially our qualifying round. We, the Republic of Ireland, whichever region represents us, Republic of Ireland will be in a group with France, England, and Slovenia. So that seems like a pretty tough group to go to be put into. And the way that works is then the winner of that group will go through to the actual Regions Cup finals, and it'll be one of the 8 teams who go through will host the finals. Ireland obviously hosted it a couple of years ago when we won it, or 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was. Or was it 5 years ago? However many years that was when we won it. But obviously, we've a pretty tough group to get through. So hopefully there'll be some sort of resolution to that issue. Have you heard any more on that, Andy, of what's going to happen there?
No, again, just sort of nothing. Yeah, it's radio silence on it. I think everything going on in the FAI at the moment is probably last on their agenda, but they need to sort it pretty quickly, because Jerry and his backroom staff need to start preparing for those important qualifiers. Obviously, the group sounds fairly ominous. England and France, I would imagine, would be 2 strong teams.
Yeah.
That's just at a guess, but look, we need to be at our best there, and we need to really focus on what squad are going to be available to us.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll try keep the listeners updated on what the latest is there. Again, I think it falls down to the FAI Junior Council or Key Committee, I believe it is, whoever those guys are, to sort the mess out. So hopefully we'll have some sort of update on what's going on there soon enough. Kind of coming up to the end of the show, Andy, we have a couple of mentions that we wanted to get out there. Corduff FC seniors are hosting a Christmas six-a-side tournament on Saturday the 28th of December. So after you've eaten all your turkey and ham and you're sick of the misses, you can get yourself out for a game of ball on Saturday the 28th in the Corduff Sports Centre. It's £100 per team, maximum 10 players per team, and it's over 16s only, and there's a cash prize for the winners. If you're interested in putting a team together, contact the Corduff Facebook page or Twitter page. You've won there from Tony Dunn there as well, Andy, have you?
Yeah, it's a great one, Derek. So it's actually all clubs that, or any clubs that have unwanted gear lying around the place. Brendan Kelly from Old Church United is sending over gear over to Ghana. So Tony Dunn, I think, from the Leinster Senior League, retweeted this during the week. And yeah, brilliant. So if any clubs out there have any old gear that they want to send over to Africa, it'd be brilliant. You can see the kids' faces; they're delighted when they have it on. It's a great sort of thing to do.
Yeah, and look, if you don't know Tony or you don't know Brendan Kelly from Old Church, get in touch with myself or Andy, and we'll pass on the message there and put you in touch in order to pass on that unwanted gear that you may have. The final thing I just wanted to touch on, Andy, obviously kind of building on the topic of mental health awareness, which has been such kind of a big issue this week after our podcast with Ross last week. Verona FC, who had a great win today, obviously, are putting Jigsaw on the front of their new away jersey. So Jigsaw is an organisation that helps young people with mental health. So they're going to place their logo on the front of their jersey. So a great initiative there from Verona to going to add that on there. Anything else to add on, Andy, before we finish up?
Yeah, just finally, there's two things here that I have, Derek. Brendan Clark of League of Ireland goalkeeper, he has kindly touched base with me, and this is for the goalkeepers union. There is a 25% discount on Reich gloves. So anyone that wants to avail of that, they can reach out to myself. I will be sending out a tweet during the week about it. But all you have to do is go on to gkacademykit.com and enter GK Academy into the discount basket. So you'll get 25% off gloves, anyone there in the lead up to Christmas. That's for adults and kids, by the way. So if you have any Christmas presents planned out. And then finally, Derek, we did run a Graphics 51 competition during the week. So anyone that retweeted the Spotify release of the podcast, thanks very much.
I retweeted it. Were we allowed to win it now?
No, you didn't win. Spoiler alert, you didn't win. But yeah, it was a good weekend for Baldoyle FC. So they started off their weekend in their Major 1 Sunday with a 3-2 win over Cabinteely, and then their Saturday team with a 3-2 win over Terranure as well. And they're the winners of the competition. So yeah, lovely. Congratulations to Baldoyle. I'll reach out to them and they can avail of their voucher with Graphics 51. And thanks very much to the guys in Graphics 51. They're doing a great job across the league. So anyone wants to reach out to them, it's Graphics_51, I believe, on Twitter. So reach out to them and they'll do a match day poster for you. Not a problem.
Brilliant. Congratulations to Baldoyle United and thanks again to Graphics 51. Just a couple of last things for myself. Again, just to re-emphasise to anybody out there, if you're at a game, use the LSL live score hashtag. It makes it so much easier for us to pull together scores and scorers for our roundup of the games if you use that hashtag. And then just to kind of let anybody know, if you're on Facebook, we also do have a Facebook group called the LSL Podcast. Myself and Andy are in there. You're always welcome to ask any questions in there or propose any topics that you'd like us to discuss, as well as Twitter as well, where we're probably a little bit more active. At Derek McKenna, and Andy, you are at...
I struggle with this every week, Derek. I think it's the bear_1, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. So if you want to get in touch with myself or Andy, give us a shout on Twitter or on Facebook there in the LSL podcast group. Andy, it's been a pleasure as always. I'll look forward to speaking to you again next week. Thanks for your company.
Thanks, Derek. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.